The majority of the crypto-related headlines from the majority of the places where the majority of us get our news cry of security breaches, scams, and ties to illicit activity. As they should, says Duke Law professor John Reed Stark, the former chief of the SEC's Office of Internet Enforcement, and a skeptic, to put it mildly, of the projects in and around the space crypto believers call Web 3.0.
They're rife with market manipulation, insider trading, fraud, thievery, chicanery, just about any type of financial crime you can think of.
That misses a lot of nuance.
Co-founder and CEO of the Bitcoin wallet Casa, Nick Newman, doesn't argue scammers see Web 3.0's deregulated nature as an opportunity, a blockchain network comprised of millions of personal computers around the globe, allowing us to post, share, download, and move digital files, one day, maybe soon, supplanting today's internet, where central authorities with their warehouses full of blinking servers grow preposterously wealthy off the user data they collect for free, decide what we see on this web we access through our many online accounts, and also, in theory, take responsibility for preventing and ensuring we don't get ripped off. Nick wants those against, considering, and currently investing in the space to understand there exists a risk spectrum between the newer Pokemon-ish crypto video game Axie Infinity, recently hacked for around $650 million, and the Bitcoin blockchain, which has never been hacked in its 13-year history.
People need to know that there's a difference between those two things.
The one common thread amongst them all is that they're wholly unregulated. So that means there's no SEC auditing, SEC examining, no archiving of records, no licensure of the people there, no net capital requirements.
Stark went on from there, but again, Newman didn't disagree that the irreversibility of a crypto transaction makes it both the boon that enables what he calls censorship resistance,
which is incredibly important for providing essentially freedom money to people around the world,
and the curse that renders stolen or sent crypto as lost crypto.
Unless somebody comes back on the back end and either finds that person through law enforcement,
or a centralized entity like Coinbase refunds its customers from its own balance sheet.
I think that doesn't scale, that we will not see that evolve over the next 10 years further.
Instead, Newman expects more individuals to hold their own private key passwords to digital wallets containing their crypto tokens, a future which would require those wallets, the exchanges they fund, and the protocols on which they exist to continue to improve their security.
There's still a long way to go.
We are learning in the industry to understand how best to secure this infrastructure.
Chainalysis VP of IT and Information Security, Betsy Bevilacqua's company is working with those investigating the aforementioned Axie Infinity hack.
We provide data, software, services, and research to government agencies, crypto exchanges, financial institutions, insurance and cybersecurity companies, in over 70 countries.
Chainalysis follows the movements of tokens between wallets to chart what's hacked or stolen from its origin to its final destinations.
We make what's on the blockchain human readable.
The existence of that very public, uneditable giant spreadsheet, Bevilacqua and Newman argue, might make crypto criminals easier for law enforcement to catch than those, still majority of, crooks who deal in cash.
I live for a time when cyber criminals will realize that this is not the currency for them.
The idea that, it's somehow a boon to law enforcement to have this traceability is something that I think has been spread around. And I think it's just, I know that it's flat out wrong.
Stark points out, even with the forensic accounting of Chainalysis, most often investigators only discover the public wallet addresses of the stolen funds and not the identity of the individual or individuals who perpetrated the hack. Criminals often not even located in the United States or in a country with an extradition treaty.
Cryptocurrency is a way to do drug dealing, sex trafficking, money laundering, ransomware attacks, extortion.
Illicit activity is about 1% of all Bitcoin activity.
Regardless of whether one sees all of crypto as one giant Ponzi scam empowering criminals around the globe,
I don't even believe in blockchain anymore,
or the future of money, technology, and the internet.
We really see a lot of promise in what holding private keys and what securing your money yourself can offer.
We've now reached the point in crypto's evolution where it appears unlikely to vanish or retreat in its advance toward more mainstream adoption anytime soon, making Web3 security, enforcement, and regulation priorities not only for those in and around the space, but also for our financial system and society as a whole.
These are not problems I can go and Google away,
I'm Matt King, Fox 5 News.